we actually had our annual meeting at CenterState this morning. We had 500 people join us for the first time in 2 years. We usually have thousands of people join our annual meetings, but we have 500 just because COVID's still a thing in upstate New York. And we actually had speakers from Microsoft and Amazon, two of our smart systems companies here in Central New York. Because I'm getting background. There you go. And the speaker from Microsoft actually had a quote that I want to read back because I think it's really important. And it really describes our coalition here. If you want to go deep on a project, involve nonprofits and academia. If you want to go wide on a project, involve government and the private sector. If you want to go fast on a project, involve the private sector. And if you want to do all of that, involve them all, right? And I think that's what we've done with the group we pulled together around the smart systems opportunity here in central New York in the Mohawk Valley, which is located in the center part of New York State. We have 57 public, institutional, nonprofit, and private partners joined together in common pursuit of realizing a new economic opportunity here in the region through this effort. And then more importantly, it's important to note here, many of our region's largest employers are around the table, and many of them are on the phone with us today. I need to figure out, there we go. So what brought this group together? We aligned around the opportunity to marry a growth strategy and an economic inclusion strategy to drive equity and innovation in the region's smart systems industry. We're doing this with a particular focus on the market verticals of uncrewed aerial systems, sometimes called unmanned aerial systems, Internet of Things in smart cities, and semiconductor manufacturing. We had a lot of questions on what is smart systems and why does it make sense here in the CenterState New York region. And you may not know this, but in the 1950s, the region is in the 1950s with the presence of General Electric. We've had generations of expertise and innovation that has created some of the most competitive ecosystem around radar and sensing systems in the region. Just earlier today, we talked about the fact that half of the IP that comes out of our region is in the radar and sensing systems industry. Today, this industry employs nearly 40,000 individuals in the region, which for us is just under 10% of regional employment, and it pays wages 35% higher than the regional average. It's growing, it's expanding, and we want to keep investing in that expansion. But for us, this effort just isn't about helping an already strong industry find its next gear and remain globally competitive. It's equally focused on translating that economic opportunity into individuals who are traditionally left behind by the growth of these industries. Dr. J on our team, I'll have you come off mute. We're going to talk a little bit about our equity strategy, which we really feel like is a game changer for us here in Central New York. So go ahead, Dr. J.
Thank you, Ben. While he's coming in from Syracuse, I'm here in Utica, New York, having just finished a morning with about 50 employers talking about the importance of working towards equity together as a region. As a part of our efforts day to day, in addition to this application, we're bringing companies together to not just explore what's happening around workforce in the Internet of Things or smart system strategies and how these employment opportunities can help the region advance. We're also thinking about how to do this from an equitable standpoint. And the companies that we're engaging, we're asking them from the moment that they sit down at the table with us, is for all of us collectively to think about advancing equity outcomes as a priority in this project. We have engaged these high-level stakeholders, as Ben mentioned, those that want to go deep, those that want to stay wide, and those that just want to be involved and get things done from the private sector to think about how do we use equity scorecards, putting numbers, demographics, and data in front of us that continuously challenges us to see how we're rating ourselves on engaging, including in equitable ways, historically marginalized or traditionally oppressed communities. How are we providing resources, programs, and support to ensure that their success? So it's not just about bringing them to the table or engaging them in employment or outreach and recruitment strategies, but making sure if we are able to bring them in, that we're also recognizing that these communities need the type of mentorship, leadership opportunities, and investment that guarantees their success. And historically, this is something that we haven't done as intentionally. Lastly, we want to build an inclusive group of non-traditional representations at the leaders. And that means, again, bringing all the stakeholders that Ben sort of kind of highlighted before to the table as one, and reaching out to community folks to sit at the table with us as well. Ben?
So we have a pretty strong framework for growth here. This framework's been recognized nationally, like by groups like the Brookings Institution and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. This is an overview of it. We don't have time to dig into all of these today, but I did want to highlight our anticipated impact, the leverage that we're anticipating as part of all this. We expect to bring in $143 million in leverage. We're also tracking equity outcomes, right? It's not just about traditional economic development indicators. We want to make sure that we are reporting on and being regularly held accountable to some of the equity outcomes we're putting forward as part of all these projects. I could keep talking for hours. That was a quick 5 minutes. I will shut up and open up for questions.